Welcome. In this video we're going to be looking at how to make a mitre saw workstation. I'm going to Red Bull it by giving it wings. So we'll pull the wings out anytime we need a bit of extra room. It's also going to be the exact same height as my workbench, so if I really need a long timber cut, it'll be not a problem. I'll be on wheels so I can spin it about and put it wherever I want in the garage. So sit back and enjoy. Okay, so the design I decided to go for was similar to the design I used on the workbench. It's going to be a square frame for the top section, square frame for the bottom. These two frames will be joined together by the legs running up to down. On the top I'll use a bit of plywood this time, it'll be plenty, and then the wings on the side. As you can see, a mitre saw station would have been very useful for making this. After measuring and cutting the first length of timber, I use this as a template for the lengths of the rest. Always make sure to use the original piece, as if you keep using the next cut and the next cut and the next cut, if there's a variance in it, it'll be off more and more each time. To hold the 4x2 up level while I'm cutting it, I made this wee rig, basically just to hold it up to the right height and keep things square. To join the timber, I pre-drilled them first of all with pilot holes. I then glued and screwed them. Repeat this process a second time and you'll have two identical frames, one for the top and one for the bottom. Next up is the legs. Working out the length of the legs can be quite tricky. The length of my legs are the height of the workbench minus the height of the base of my mitre saw minus the height of the wheels and minus the thickness of my plywood. And we'll obviously need 4 of these. I drilled pilot holes in the legs as well, just to stop them splitting whenever I put the screws in them. So long as the ends are square whenever you attach the legs, you should have a wobble-free station. Now repeat this on the other side with the other 2 legs and you've got your basic frame made up. But don't be afraid to stop and have a wee cup of tea just to keep you going in the meantime. When all 4 legs are attached, it should look something similar to this. It's time to attach the wheels. It's likely that two of your wheels will have brakes. Make sure that these go on the same side. This should leave the workstation a lot easier moved about. It's time to measure up for the top and the shelf. To cut the plywood, I'm going to use my trusty circular saw and the circular saw jig that I made in an earlier video. You can see I elevate the ply from the ground with sticks just to give the blade clearance. Then do the same for the bottom shelf. It will be slightly smaller than the top shelf. I decided not to glue the tops on, just in case they ever got damaged and needed replaced, but I did use the pilot holes and then screwed them on.
Thumbs up!
So there's the main part of the workstation complete, and as you can see it's running dead flush with my workstation, or my workbench, so I'm dead chuffed with that, to be honest. You could leave it at that, but as I said before, I'm going to Red Bull it and give it some wings. Each wing is going to be made up of a square box frame with a piece of plywood on top. This will then fold out and triangular support will hold it in place. You can see me mark a wee T on the template piece here so I don't get them mixed up. Now that the 4 lengths are cut for the wings, it's time to cut the widths.
Thumbs up.
You can then screw the frame of the wings together. Thumbs up. Now just cut out some ply for the top and the bottom of the wings. You'll then need to make pilot holes and screw these in place. I decided to put a nice round on the edges just so if you brushed against it, it wouldn't be so sharp. Quality control came in to check this bit. I then cut a smaller piece of ply for the underside of the shelf. This would allow something for the support to rest against. Okay, so we have the wings ready. Now we've got to make the triangular supports to prop them up. Not forgetting the safety glasses. As you can see here, the height of the mitre saw is spot on with the height of the workbench. I found the easiest way to work out the angles for this was to set the two straight pieces on the piece you're cutting and just mark them. You can then set the angle of the mitre saw to match these and simply cut. And repeat the process for the second support. I'm going to use pocket holes to try and join these together. Now I've never used this process before, and to be quite honest, even though I was just using a temporary jig, I was quite impressed with the results. The mini jig allowed me to drill diagonal holes. The holes would then guide the screws in. I found using a clamp quite useful for holding the pieces together as the screws went through.
Thumbs up.
fitted 2 hinges to the edge of the supports. These would be used to hang them to the table. Hanging the supports can be quite footery on your own. I cut a wee piece of wood just to support it on, and that meant that I had 2 hands spare to hold the actual support. I'm going to use 2 gate hinges to fit the wings. Now it's time to fit the wing. Realistically, you get away with 1 wing, especially if it's the same size as your workbench. However, I decided to add 2 wings just so it would be a totally standalone unit. Rather than show you the whole process again, here's the second wing in place. Just double checking here, make sure it's level with my mitre saw.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
So there it is, a fold-away mobile mitre station. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Keep an eye on the channel for more projects in the future.